So first things first, gentlemen, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So where I want to start with is, obviously you have a new album coming up, but I want to go back a little bit because you released some kind of old material, a found history, which is a mix of remixes you did yourself, live performances. When you went and looked at kind of your old material, what did you hear and what did you kind of feel?
Oh, that's kind of interesting because, well, especially we talk a little bit about, lockdown and our special, chaos situation and everything. And it was actually great time, great timing, great pause to think about what we did before. Because, as he says, the album is coming pretty soon, but in meantime, in lockdown, it was really good to look at what we did and just remind ourselves how we felt, especially some of the early rehearsal takes 13 years ago.
It's like a snapshot, wasn't it? Where we were and through to where we are now. It's kind of good to go back and then so you can see where we are now.
So from the very start point to so you can draw a line to where we are now, and then you can sort of be a bit more objective and sort of self-confident.
Right.
Reminder of fast intention and some sort of it's almost like memory of how and why we made this and why we made Bo Ningen as a band and how I wanted to start to sing. Bo Ningen is my first band to sing and shout and stuff. So it was really good to remind ourselves of why we hate indie music in London around that time and how we wanted to how we learned to do things
That's an interesting thing you say, because was that kind of where, because I read that you were always into experimental music and kind of pushing the boundaries, but was that kind of also when you started as a band, was that a reaction to kind of everything that was around you and how well, I don't want to say boring, but kind of how safe it was?
To me, pretty much yes, because it was, I think we met, four of us met 2 or 3 years after we moved to London. So before we formed Bo Ningen, everyone had a time to explore what the London music scene is. Scene was from that time. Then personally, that I got really influenced from bass music, but at the time I haven't met any club culture yet. So all I felt was laziness and boring indie music, kind of pretend to be cool kind of thing. And that's how I really struggle to find what I can, just struggle to listen to it. How to say people think it's kind of cool, and that's kind of my counterpoint. What I want to, almost counterculture of what was going on that time.
And what I find interesting, because of that, I found history and kind of seeing that evolution that you went through as a band and how you progressed. Has your attitudes changed in terms of how do I describe this? The later works, if you look at maybe the second or third album, was that kind of a reaction to what was at that time popular as well, or is that kind of a continuation of kind of where you started?
Personally, yes. As I mentioned about the bass music, I think around the first album, I think I've been to a couple of old dubstep party and got influence from rock music, which I didn't listen beforehand and stuff.
Right.
Even for the first album, which is released in 2010, and gradually got more influence of what I experienced and what I saw and just location and environment, including the club music and all the music, experimental music and all the music around. So I think my answer is yes, personally.
Wait, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think our attitude has changed much since the very beginning.
Okay.
In a sense, like, because we've always had some sort of anger, but towards like, I mean, anything at the beginning, like, there was towards some say a bit boring indie music kind of scene.
Right.
I think gradually grows. I don't know. So it's just a matter of like contacting with the world and sort of like kind of like make something better. Try like we're just trying.
Right.
I think the first very beginning, I think we all just wanted to make noise, I guess, and then like trying extreme as possible, like brutal as possible, and well, like, because that was the form of it, like a free form. We didn't have a song, and
right.
we were just like ridiculously trying to make it noisy as possible. But that's great, but obviously, I think it's changed. It has been changing like constantly, I think.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about the kind of there's a little bit more structure in a sense, and then is that in terms of how you write then as well? Because I assume when you play together, do you kind of notice, okay, this is an interesting part we can use somewhere, or how does the songwriting work?
I think songwriting hasn't changed, right? That much. I mean,
not much, but there's more sort of like preparation bit for the new album coming. You know, like because it took us for about 4 years to finish the songs and then record it, and then by the time it's coming out, which is like in 2 weeks' time, I think. Yeah. It would be like 6 years from the previous one. Right. So obviously, like a matter of making songs, like composing songs, it's more like a bit more like composition now, like compared to the last 3 albums, because the last 3 albums, most of the bit we made out of studio jams.
Okay.
So we record like half an hour to an hour jam. Yeah. Like and like a few of these every time we go into the studio, and then like we just listen through and cut a bit. I mean, like we still do it, but there's some bit more preparation and the actual sort of like writing involved.
When you started this road towards this new album, then did you have something in mind, or was it still very open?
It was very open at the beginning.
I can't remember
when we started writing.
A long time ago.
It's just.
Well, let me ask it differently, then, because you said it was still very open. When did the first sort of soundscapes start to take shape? Was it how long in the process were you when things started to get a little bit more concrete, just a little bit more?
I mean, for this album?
Yeah.
I would say sometime in 2016 or even 15. Yeah. Do you think? Yeah, I mean, well, I think that like all this song from this album, upcoming album, must be like the Zankoku.
As far as I remember, we started writing much before, but at some point in 2015 or 16, we decided to get rid of everything what we had.
Yeah.
And then, let's just, this is not working. Let's just, just flush our brain a bit and then start again. I think that was about 2016. Yeah.
And then, so then you start over. When was was there a point where you felt, okay, now we have, because you said at first it wasn't working, you threw all that away. Was there a point afterwards when you thought, okay, now we got it. Now we kind of finding what we want in this music?
Must be has a moment. Well, I guess it all depends on like each of us, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe a song where the first song that kind of started to kind of shape itself or form.
Oh yeah.
Which song we made for first song we made for this album?
I mean, Zankoku must be the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that song is oldest, but like we didn't finish the song until much later on.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. So, oh my god.
I think we played Zankoku for the gig in 2000. I mean, well, slightly different structure and stuff, but we have played that one in 2015 even.
Okay.
Some shows. I don't know. I mean, I don't remember.
Prototype. Yeah.
Prototype.
And well, I think it was more of the schedule for the recording that, we know the budget, and we know how, where we know the idea of like who we want to work with, and like where we can record, and the size of the budget and studio and stuff. When we confirmed that was like, I mean, I think when we confirmed all the detail, we had 70%, 60-70% of the songs and stuff ready. And once we confirmed the time and stuff, which I don't remember like when, but like probably like 4 or 5 months before the recording. Then we spent time to like tweak and ask like Bobby to do the guest vocal. I mean, more about like pre-production.
Sure.
A couple of sessions with Matthew Harvard and stuff like that happening just before the recordings, so we knew like the goal.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
The vision, like once we decide the sessions, but it's like it was really I don't know. It was really gradual change from 2015 to
sure.
Time.
I think there are a few key tracks that defines the mood of the album. For me, it's our first single of the new records, BC. When we made the first really rough sketch of that song, like it instantly saw like clicks. Okay. So this is the mood. And some other song, there's another one on the album called Kyutai, which is like kind of slower, bass heavy. I know it's really, really strange song, but that's these two songs kind of like hold all these moods together.
Right.
Defines the atmosphere. Yeah.
And then when these kind of moods arise, is that, do you think of that beforehand, thinking, well, I want kind of to put this emotion in a song, or do you just play and then whatever emotion comes out, that's kind of what the mood of a song will take?
I think we didn't force to.
Some of the jams was really good or something, especially for probably both of them, Kyutai and BC. Some of the studio jams or some version we were trying then. I can't remember much, to be fair, but I think, just some point we were listening. I remember we were listening to it and I was like, wow, this is like, it's like something new, like something else. I think that kind of way.
Yeah, we didn't really force ourselves to like necessarily making the theme of the album beforehand, right? I mean, once we had a couple of songs, like key songs, like
well, we had a chat, but
I remember that like we had a chat like almost 3-4 like a long time ago, and when we had a song Kyutai, the one Kohhei mentioned, we wrote down many songs we composed that time. Then we chose Kyutai as a kind of core of the album.
Right.
So we had a couple songs ready. Then we started to talk about the concept of the album. I mean, we didn't follow 100% of it because, like, we composed many songs. Like, we didn't use many songs, and we composed many songs after that.
Sure.
Then all the songs, like, as we named the album title as Sudden Fictions, everything is like kind of small, like short stories kind of thing.
Okay.
So rather than making the one novel,
sure,
one big story, it's like each song's got different stories. Then everything become the one package of the art.
Right.
So I think.
Sorry. Just so I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's like something Taigen was just saying, because we are sort of like made some song diagrams.
Right.
So like something like to try and make image of the.
Right, a visualization.
How these songs put together in the album.
Right.
We made several of these, and this is like very first one. So about half of the songs in here.
Right. Okay.
I
think I remember that sketch. Yeah.
I can't find the new latest one, but anyway, like, so we made a few of these, like, and then because we name
no, go ahead, because I was thinking, well, let's try and go into a song then, because you say it's the kind of separate sketches and stories, and we mentioned Zankoku, and now the translation I think is cruel, so and especially because you've have this song around for a couple of years now. So looking back from where you are now, what does that mean to you in a sense, that song, or what do you see in it now?
I think that song. If you think about all other song in album, I think that the one will sounds more like. It's kind of bridge from like what we used to be and what we are right now, because if people who have been to our shows or who knows about what Bo Ningen's music is, it's kind of Zankoku is the most familiar to existing all Bo Ningen listeners. However, we try many different approaches and stuff.
Right.
And so I think Zankoku is a kind of great bridge between what we are and what we are right now, and what we are finding new identity and stuff like that. So it's kind of similar to what we say about our found history thing, our previous recordings. But I would say go for it.
Now, this is maybe very difficult to put into words, but how would you define then that new identity? The kind of what has the past couple of years kind of given you in terms of inspiration, in terms of musical direction?
Identity.
I don't know if you read our new press release or. The one with fan history or the one before Bo Ningen in 2020. I don't know, but we basically made our sort of statement why we making this album this time now. Like why is it sort of important for us to release to show Bo Ningen now 2020 version, updated version. It's very long statement. It's not really simple. Can say now, and I can't really sums it up now. But it's kind of almost like a revisiting the meaning of being a rock band, in this time, especially where basically many rock music is basically sort of replaced, almost.
And sorry.
I think it's changing, but I mean, that's the music is just, you know, and the scenes and what's trendy and stuff, because, you know, it should keep changing. But it's kind of almost like questioning ourselves back to like what is to be, you know, as a rock band. Yeah. So that's the album kind of like expressing.
Have you found it to be difficult to be a band kind of in the 2020s, so kind of in this new era in a way? Is it what is it like, or what does it mean to you to be in a band in this time?
It's a challenge for people. yeah. I mean,
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I have like my music taste, you know, has been changed so much. Like, you know, this 13 years since I started the band, and I listened to, well, you know, as I mentioned about, you know, some bass music, experimental music and stuff. I mean, well, I listen to non-band music, like compares like you know, 13, 14 years ago. But it's great to be like, you know, my main environment, my, you know, main project and identity is Bo Ningen, which is the band, but it's not like authentic rock band or psychedelic, or like we always want to redefine. It's like we used to call it like redefine this, you know, psychedelic. Then now we don't want to make it limit to the psychedelic. I mean, you know,
so much
broader. Band or even, well, we still, you know, keep the form of the band, but the genre and everything is, you know, pretty much like, you know, we want to expand it. And that's kind of our identity. That's like, it's really hard to define our genre of the music, but it's, you know, I'm still singing, and, you know, we've got real drums and then bass and, you know, synths and guitars still, which is not that many bands are trying. They rather follow the electronic side, or like, you know, rather follow really authentic, like 60s, 70s, like, you know, back to the basic kind of thing, which is great, but we want to make it, well, you know, make something new out of it,
right?
But still keep, just like, you know, finding the new potential of the band music.
And what I find interesting, because we mentioned the history bit, and then the MG series is where you all did remixes, and you have very different interpretations of music. So with what you mentioned just now, reinventing yourself, and does it go in any direction in the sense that all of you have very different tastes as well?
I think so.
Yeah. But we kind of share something in the middle. Like,
right.
Something in sort of
true. Yeah.
You need to.
We are not alone. So like we are individuals, but like
that's kind of how we make in the, you know, we've got monthly NTS program. That's like how we, you know, kind of how we just like mixing. Like kind of 4 different tasting music into one hour mix sometimes, and you know, and it's kind of interesting that it's like, of course we talk about music and, you know, like new music and old music and everything, you know, chatting like this, talk about the music, but it's kind of nice to, well, you know, just like mix everything in front of like, well, CDJ without the words sometimes, you know, just do some sort of like put the button like next to it's kind of, well, it's just a fun process to share the music in, because, well, you know, everyone's got different like scene to look up, listen to, and different connection to play the show together, like, you know, making music together with like, you know, different people too. Will like that kind of gift back to, you know, Bo Ningen, and expand the potential as a band, I think. And
because I read somewhere, and this might not be right, but I read somewhere that it was referred to this new album as kind of a new beginning. Do you see that do you see this album as kind of a fresh start in a way?
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, also think about what's been going on in the world. I think it's completely correct, like mental. So I've been thinking, well, it's very meaningful to have to release the album in such a like unsettling times. I think it's definitely going to be fresh at least. You know?
Yeah, it meant to, because it could be released in 2000. Well, I mean, not this material.
Sure.
I mean, this material could be released in 2018 or 19. Then that could have been made totally different result.
Yeah.
And if we decide to record everything in 2016 with different material, that will. I mean, well, I don't want to talk too much different timelines,
sure.
parallel universe, whatever. But I think I'm really happy about the timing of, like, you know, I mean, the release during this time,
right?
Like you mentioned,
it kind of feels right now. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, apart from that, like, we still can't play, you know.
Right.
I mean, imagine if we can play an album launch in summer or something like that. It's like, it would have been great, but
because of one thing, kind of, you mentioned the live shows, and you mentioned that some of the songs you already played live. So how much of the album have you kind of figured out how to do it live, and then have you seen kind of the reactions already, or some reactions to it?
Yeah, definitely, especially BC.
Yeah,
we didn't imagine, like, go for it.
Do it.
Like, we didn't really think it works for the shows, and because, well, you know, like as Kohhei mentioned, in a studio we think, oh wow, this is quite special. Like, we want to, you know, this is kind of pretty new core of the new album, but it's like for the shows we were not 100% sure how we can, you know, like translate into gig atmosphere, and I thought it's more about studio track, but we tried to play BC for a couple of shows, then reaction and how we felt on stage, we felt like actually this could be like, I don't want to call it banger, but, like, you know,
it's like great build up.
Yeah, I feel like actually it works pretty well for the live shows. Then that kind of made us feel like actually this could be the single. That's definitely helped us to, like, think, like, when we had to decide which one is going to be the first single.
Right.
We decided BC because it worked pretty well for the live, and rest of the songs we tried four songs for live,
something like that.
Then
four total. Yeah.
4 in total. Then we've got 5 more songs to do, which we're gonna actually, last week when we had a meeting, we were thinking about how we can play the rest of the song for the shows. And that's how I mean, that's kind of our homework during this lockdown.
Sure.
To think about, I mean, which is good though. It's like, rather than try in a studio, rehearse a studio, we've got time to prepare and have more ideas of, like, each instrumentation and stuff. So we are looking forward to, you know, play and
for
try
when you can.
Exactly. I mean, we've got time to preparation. I mean, not a studio, rehearse a studio yet, but, you know, time to think more options, you know.
Sure. Finally then, like you said, this album is coming out in a couple of weeks. Is there anything you kind of hope that people who hear it take away from it, or kind of get out of it?
Enjoy the album. I don't know.
Fair
it's
enough.
like, I wouldn't say like world domination or something. I'm not naive. I'm not that naive anymore. But,
no, that's not good.
But I think definitely this one this album, Sudden Fiction, in a very great sense. I think Bo Ningen's most accessible album ever, I think. So yeah, I hope like get like a big acceptance, I think, you know.
Expand the audience in the genre.
Yeah.
And real access to many people as possible.
I think it's definitely more convincing people. It's like, it's worth the wait, you know. It's been a long time. I know it's like 6 years. That's crazy. But I think we're pretty confident to convince them just it was worth the wait, like definitely a wait, yeah.
All right. On that note, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.